Maxie Zeus? Okay, rogues, now you're going too far. Shut up, let's start the list. Number 5. Haven. Published in Detective Comics 514 in 1982, this old classic was written by Len Wein and drawn by Don Newton. In the story, Batman is chasing Maxie Zeus to the outskirts of Gotham in the middle of a snowstorm. Eventually, both Batman and Maxie's vehicles are incapacitated by the harsh weather, and the two parties are forced to make their way on foot. Both of them eventually find their way to the cabin of Haven. Haven is a big burly dude who's left Gotham City behind and made his home in the woods. He was simply fed up with so-called civilization and now lives the life of a peaceful hermit. Batman, and especially Maxie and his cronies of course, disturb his peace though. And I won't reveal more than that. This is a story that you really have to read. It is in fact one of the greatest Batman stories ever told. The only reason it isn't ranked higher on this list is because this is a Maxie Zeus list. And frankly, this story isn't really about Maxie. He's simply the antagonist. Anyone could have filled his role. It just as easily could have been the Joker or the Penguin who crashed Haven's cabin. But it is Maxie Zeus, and it is a really great story, so I had to include it on the list. And even though the story doesn't explore him, it does portray him in his usual, very entertaining, arrogant, and delusional fashion, which is always a blast to witness. Number 4. The Riddle of the Golden Fleece. From Detective Comics 491, published in 1980, this one was written by Dennis O'Neil and drawn by Don Newton again. And no, it has nothing to do with the Riddler. In the story, one of the scientists at Wayne Enterprises accidentally creates gold fabric. Yeah, just like that. He didn't intend to, he was working on something else, but happened to discover gold fabric instead. Anyway, nosy thieves find out about this somehow and steal the fabric. Turns out the thieves were sent by Maxie Zeus. A golden piece of cloth? Sort of like the golden fleece of Jason from Greek mythology? How could Maxie possibly resist? So naturally, Maxie wants to add this item to his collection, or perhaps sell it to the highest bidder, right? Wrong! It's nothing like that. What Maxie plans to do with the golden cloth is to give it as a birthday present to his daughter. Yes, Maxie has a daughter, and her name is Medea, naturally. She lives in an orphanage, as her father is obviously not fit to care for her. But he does care for her, greatly in fact. Yes, this is a story that portrays Maxie as a very sympathetic character, not an evil villain at all. In fact, once we reach the end of the story, Maxie doesn't even come off as the villain. Medea only appeared one more time, I think, and seemed to get erased by the Crisis reboot. What a missed opportunity it's been not to use her again. As this story proves, there was great potential in Maxie having a kid that the weird dude actually loved. Number 3. Of Gods and Men. Published in Batman 470 in 1991, this one was done by the classic and always excellent team of Alan Grant and Norm Breyfogle. This issue is actually part 15 of the massive Wonder Woman-centric crossover arc, War of the Gods. And while it is a bit confusing to read on its own, I think it works fairly well nonetheless. In the story, Batman is sent by Wonder Woman to obtain the Themysciran goblet, a relic believed to contain the powers to stop the mad scheme of Circe, or something. I honestly haven't read the rest of War of the Gods, so I don't really know what exactly is going on here. But apparently Wonder Woman really needs this goblet. But it's been stolen by her nemesis, Cheetah, on the orders of Circe. And Cheetah gave it to a Gotham City villain for safekeeping. That villain turns out to be Maxie Zeus. Who else? If you're gonna use a Batman villain for a Wonder Woman related story, obviously it should be Maxie Zeus. Anyway, bottom line is, Batman needs to infiltrate Maxie's fortress and take this goblet back. That is easier said than done though, since this story was published before Maxie began being portrayed as a joke. I wanna say this was the start of it though, since he is portrayed in a very humorous fashion. I mean even more so than usual. He's a straight-up comedy character in this issue, and it appears that that aspect of him stuck the most, making everyone consider him a silly joke. What they forgot is that while very funny, he was still dangerous. That's a key to writing Maxie Zeus, kids. He's supposed to be funny, perhaps even very funny, but he's also supposed to be an actual threat. With Maxie, you can have your cake and eat it too. It actually works. A shame so few get that. Alan Grant did though, and gave us one of the last great Maxie Zeus tales as a result. Number 2. Hits and Myths, Iliads and Oddities. From Robin issues 29 and 30 published in 1996. This two-parter was written by good old Chuck Dixon and drawn by Frank Fosco. This story is very much in the vein of the previous one. It's a hilarious Maxie Zeus, but also a very dangerous one. In it, Maxie has the brilliant idea of ripping off Homer's Iliad, specifically the Trojan horse part. For a caper, that is. He's going to rob an armored freight company by hijacking one of their armored cars and then simply parking it in their garage with him and his gang hidden in the back. So simple, yet so clever. Maxie also happens to bring the Boy Wonder along as a hostage, as he wants to speak to the Oracle. Yes, that's right, that Oracle. Somehow Maxie knows of Batman and Robin's ally and has taken her name a bit literally. He believes her to be an actual oracle and wants her to reveal the future of his caper, whether it's gonna be a success or not. Yeah, it's pretty funny stuff when Maxie forces Robin to call Barbara. No surprise Chuck Dixon understands Maxie. He very rarely do villains wrong. Riddler, Joker, Calendar Man, Catwoman, Bane, Firefly, Killer Moth. He's written fantastic stories with all of them. And here also with Maxie Zeus. I was actually not aware of this story until just a couple of weeks ago. Somehow I'd missed out on it. Not sure how that happened. I used to believe the Alan Grant story was the last good Maxie Zeus comic, but I was wrong. This is the last good Maxie Zeus comic. The last one that gets that just because he's hilariously delusional and goofy doesn't mean that he's harmless. No, it's a very dangerous Maxie Zeus in this story, and just like a lot of writers and fans do, Robin underestimates him, which is why he ends up as his hostage. A word to the wise, never underestimate a guy just because he dresses in a toga, cause underneath that toga there might be a frickin' shotgun. And now for the greatest Maxie Zeus story. Number 1, Assault on Olympus. Published in Detective Comics 484 in 1979, this one was written by Dennis O'Neil and yet again drawn by Don Newton. He got to draw an awful lot of Maxie Zeus. Anyway, this is the character's second appearance following his introduction in the previous issue of Detective, also drawn by Newton. That wasn't much of an introduction though. It's here in the second story that we're truly introduced to Maxie Zeus. Basically, the plot is about Batman deciding to go after the mobster known as Maxie Zeus, and Maxie Zeus deciding to go after Batman before he can get to him. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But that's good enough in this case. We get a lot of fun action and a lot of fun scenes with Maxie. It's here that his obsession with Greek mythology, his delusions, and his arrogant personality were established. His strange sense of pride and honor, unusual for a villain, was also established here. Yes, all of it, here, in this issue. This is where Maxie Zeus was truly born. And boy, does this issue do a great job at showcasing this, at the time, new villain, who was basically an adaptation of the 60s TV show villain King Tut, but with more of an edge. I don't really have anything else to say about it, as there isn't more to say. It's a simple story, but one that does a great job at showing who Maxie Zeus is and what he's all about. If you've never read anything with the character but want to, I suggest you pick up this issue. There you have it, the 5 best stories with Maxie Zeus. Maxie Zeus is a very underrated Batman villain in my opinion. Most people consider him a silly joke character, but that's not so strange since DC mostly portray him as that. Now, like I've said, he's supposed to be funny. A serious, humorless Zeus is a terrible idea. But just because you're funny doesn't mean you're a harmless loser. I mean, look at the Joker. These 5 stories, and a few others not included on the list, do a great job at showing how Maxie should be written. Let's hope more writers grow wise to this and pick up on the fact Maxie is a worthwhile character and a great addition to the Arkham Asylum roster. Anyway, as always, remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.